Tamba says to Mandla, his friend, I haven't spoken to my wife Zodwa in 80 months. Why not? Asked Mandla. Well, said Temba, I don't like it to interrupt her. Good evening, dear hustlers and friends. Welcome to Rumble in the Jungle on Talk with Rams. It has been 3 weeks since we last had this feature. I'm glad we're back in full swing. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Please subscribe, like, and follow our pages on all those platforms. Thank you very much for choosing us. Thank you for choosing the most powerful 30 minutes of digital content. Everyone wants to mentor Black entrepreneurs, but no one wants to fund them. Black entrepreneurs get incubated and given mentorship, while other entrepreneurs get funding. If the government is serious about funding SMEs, they should have funds administered by organizations like My Growth Fund, who understand entrepreneurship ecosystem. The people who are hired for the job don't understand entrepreneurship. These are but 3 of the tweets made by our guest, Inga Gubeka, recently. Inga is a founder of Inga Atelier, a contemporary lifestyle brand that makes unique luxury leather goods. And dare I add, excellent, amazing luxury leather goods. He's a self-made entrepreneur who started from nothing, who hustled to get noticed and get access to markets. Like most of us, he has had to beg, steal, and rob because funding is hard to come by. Inga is angry, and rightfully so. But what has been your experience? Have you been through incubation? What has it done for you? Are you any better since that? Or all you can show is a certificate on the wall? Has it led to funding? Has it grown your business better? Please participate in this tussle with Inga. You can do so on any of our platforms. We will be able to see your comments. You can also comment on Twitter at TalkWithRams1, the number 1, and my WhatsApp voice note 067-271-8239. Now, depending on how we go in this conversation, we may just have to extend this conversation to an hour. Besides, we are slightly late, and for that, apologies. We had to put some makeup on Inga. Molo mhlawam.
Molo Nkosi yami, kunjani mhlekazi?
Lenkosi man, kunjani?
Man.
Good to see you, man. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's good to see you. Good to see you.
Look, I tried to do a bit of introduction of the atelier, but please let's tell people a bit about your business and what you do and a bit of your journey. It's important that we start there. This program is about promoting Black business, so let's do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Inga Gubeka. I was born in the small village in the Eastern Cape called Ingalin. It's like a rural village deep in the Eastern Cape, close to Mthatha though, if you know Mthatha. I started my journey in Cape Town where I used to design furniture, I used to design wooden bags. And then I found Anastasia in Joburg, which happened to be my friend and his sister. We opened a store in Joburg. We had another one in Vienna, in Cape Town as well. Things were going very well. And then we had a fallout in 2017. And then I started Inga Atelier. The reason why I actually started Inga Atelier was to close a gap, between our very high income earners who then buy your Louis Vuitton, your Chanel's, and all of that. So I was thinking to myself, why don't we have our own luxury leather goods brand made in South Africa or even in Africa for that matter? So that's what brought upon the idea of Inga Atelier. And then I started sampling, some ideas, in terms of designs and so forth, just to see what I can come up with. So that was basically the birth of Inga Atelier. And we did our debut show at the Salem Handmade in 2017 towards the end, which went very well. Our products were well received by the market, and that informed me to actually pursue this even further, because the feedback was mind-blowing. It was amazing. So that's when I started Inga Atelier, basically. So yeah, that's.
Are you a designer by training?
Yes, absolutely. I studied design. I studied interior and industrial design. Dropped out in interior and finished industrial design, basically.
Yes. Now, one of the things I know about you, and I'm proud to say that this is not the first time I have you on a show that I host.
Yeah.
So one of the proudest things I know about you is the relationship with that premium brand called Glenfiddich. Tell us about that a bit.
Yeah, so basically my relationship with Glenfiddich, they were running a campaign in search of a maverick. Now, a maverick is someone who carries and embodies the same spirit as William Grant, the founder of Glenfiddich. Then I was chosen as one of the participants of the campaign. It was about 3 of us. It was myself, Les the chef, and another guy from Cape Town, I think Gary or something like that. And then there were polls, they did a campaign with polls for people to vote for their maverick. And the masses voted for me, and I won the competition, basically, the campaign. And I was awarded a Glenfiddich that's worth 85,000. They only made 30 of those, and I've got 12. I drank another one on my wedding day. And now I've got 11, basically.
Good for you.
I've got 11. I've got 11 left now. So yeah, but that was the campaign, and it was quite honored. It was a big honor for me to be honored by such a big brand like Glenfiddich, and the affiliation as well with such a big brand, which also made me the first African to have their own whiskey made by Glenfiddich and named after, for that matter. So that was a quite a very great achievement and a brand alignment, with Glenfiddich, which we still have the relationship till this day, because we, every now and then they commission me to do some really cool things for them, in as far as bags is concerned, in as far as passport holders for their events like Dep in July and some of the activations. So we still have a very tight relationship with them.
The products that you design and produce, how do you get them to market?
Sorry, can you please repeat?
I'm saying that the products that you design and produce, how do you get them to market? I mean, is there a shop? Is there an online shop? Is there direct marketing, a direct line to other people?
Yeah, so we how we market basically is mostly social media, number one, and we do quite a lot of interviews, on TV. We've done Top Billing, or we. Some Mzansi shows. Sorry, I'm not clued up with the shows. Some Mzansi shows, SABC1 shows. We do a little bit of radio interviews like Metro, 702, and all of that, and a lot of publications, magazines, online publications, and so forth. So we had a store in Host due to the effects of lockdown. So we decided to cut our losses there, but we are proud to be opening another shop at the Nelson Mandela Square in the next month or so, in partnership with another Italian brand called Lorenzi. So yeah, that's how we sell at the moment, and we sell online currently. With the decline in retail, we saw a lot of online sales increase. Surprisingly, we've sold online more than we've ever sold online ever. Like throughout lockdown. Hence, like we thought, let's cut our losses with the brick and mortar retail, and rather focus on the online store. So that's what we did basically. And we're in great agreements with them all. They agreed, and they understood where we're coming from. And and we continued, because we didn't want to burn any more money, going forward. We just wanted to hold it tight, during this time.
Well, let's get to the heart of why we are here tonight. Something got you triggered. What happened? I saw those tweets and I said, something happened to my friend there. What had happened? I mean, I've got my views about incubation, and I've I've interviewed a lot of incubators. I've told them I worry about them. And when I hear it from an entrepreneur, I get a bit excited to say, then I'm not the only one who's worried about these programs. But what triggered you?
You know, I was looking back, Rams. You know, when I was starting up, I was incubated. I was once incubated at Shanduka, Black Umbrellas in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And I was incubated the second time in, it's called Bandwidth Bun in Cape Town. But they've converted it now to like an IT, you know, incubation, you know, type of setup.
Yeah.
And as I was looking back, I was thinking I wasted almost 2 years of incubation. And here I am, but I've got nothing to show that I was once incubated, you know? And I was just
you must have a certificate on the wall somewhere.
Yeah, but I wouldn't, it'll piss me off. I wouldn't want to have that. It'll really upset me. And I was looking back and thinking, I wonder if entrepreneurs are still incubated. And I remember I was approached last year for a 3-month incubation by at Mackenzie, a part of the Mackenzie program. I kind of declined. I was like, I don't want to be incubated. I don't need to be incubated, you know? That is not what I need. And then I asked them, does this incubation come with funding? They said I must read their email, which I went back to their email and then said, okay, fine, no funding. And I was thinking to myself, actually, how many more entrepreneurs go through this right now that are upcoming, who are being offered an opportunity of incubation and all of that, which will in return do nothing for them? Nothing. I can tell you right now, in an incubation, you probably have only 10% of what you already know as an entrepreneur. And that's it. The whole 90% is all garbage, I think. It's just a waste of time. And it's a silly exercise for corporates to spend their money. That's what I think personally. So like it was a frustration that really brought about that, you know, looking back and thinking that I wasted 2 years of my good time that I could have spent doing something else and growing my business, but I was rather incubated. So that's what sparked the whole anger, basically.
Let's go back to the first 2 incubation programs that you got into. What had they promised? What attracted you to join them? Was it what they promised, or was it what you thought you would get out of them?
At the time is what I thought I would get out, because at the time, remember, the data was so expensive, the access to internet, it was quite expensive. Now, the first thing they're offering is, they were offering internet, obviously. They were offering access to a landline, and a landline that you can be called to, that has your own personal, you know, a company like 021, whatever. Which sounded really very nice at the time, because they were saying that it's very important, you know, as part of the business to have a landline at the time, you know. So like they were promising bookkeeping, which was all good and great. They were doing that fantastically. So those are some of the things that they were promising that were good for me at the time. But I not only I needed that, I also needed funding. You know, but they did work, you know, at the time, though, all the things that they were promising, but mostly only now I realize that actually, even back then, I didn't need that. I actually needed funding, because I could connect to an internet cafe. I could just buy like Wi-Fi for my phone and connect it to my laptop, because the technology was already available. But I wasn't thinking like that at the time. I was thinking about this landline, these calls, you know, boardroom facilities, you know, and things like that, to look more professional.
Some of the people that you were in the incubation with, when you look back, do you know where they are? Do you know whether they are out there successful, doing amazing stuff, making millions of money?
A good majority of them, I know where they are. Some of them gave up. They back in corporates or municipality. I know of 2. One is connected to, is related to the president, is doing very well.
Well, Black Shanduka and the president is also related, isn't it? I mean, that was his project. It comes from his foundation.
Yeah, he has actually come. I first met the president then when he was the chairman of Shanduka.
Yes.
At the time, and he had big dreams of Shanduka, and he was speaking of a lot of things, that is about to do for the entrepreneurs, Black entrepreneurs in particular. They even had like a little magazine of some sort, with all the Black suppliers. It was called the Black Book. He has spoken, a couple of times in Shanduka conferences that would get invited to, or maybe when he's doing site visits and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, but he's been preaching, that he's got big plans for entrepreneurs, to combat unemployment and all of that stuff. So yeah.
Guys who run incubation programs will be fairly disturbed by you saying we are tired of mentorship, because they think, but every business person needs to be mentored. What would you say to them?
Fair enough, but mentorship is not everything, I mean, like we live in a digital age right now, whereby you can YouTube all these things. Like that means they are now automatically replaced by all the YouTube videos. I mean, like I can go to Simon Sinek's videos. I can go to Seth Godin. I can on a daily basis, and I can learn a lot. I don't need to be incubated or mentored in an incubation environment. Things have changed. Yes. Besides that, all these mentors, they get their information where we also get it from. Often they quote Simon Sinek, often they quote Seth Godin, and often they read the same books we read. I mean, we've got the access to all these things that they have. Things have changed, so we don't need them. We now need funding from these corporates or some sort of business. That's what we need at the moment, not mentorship, because that information is accessible completely.
Why do you think they're doing it? Why do you think they're continuing with something that is not yielding results? I mean, again, I can if you gave me 3 minutes, I can name you about 10 incubation programs that I know. But if you gave me another 3 minutes, I can't name you 10 great businesses that came out of each of them. So why are they continuing, in your view, with this thing that does not seem to be producing the same kind of businesses that I see coming out of Stellenbosch?
The problem is, like I was saying, the problem is they think they understand entrepreneurship and what entrepreneurs want, which is a big problem. In fact, all the large corporates and everybody else think that they understand what entrepreneurship wants, which is not the case. Because if they understood what entrepreneurs wanted, they won't do the things that they're currently doing, like incubation and all mentorship and all of those things. They will rather do funding and rather get you a mentor to mentor you on how to use this funding. Not a person going there, getting mentored, and then what, So even I've got a problem with the small business, for instance, department. The people who work there don't understand entrepreneurship. They've got cadres who work there.
Before you go there, that's our next part. I'll go to government later. I want to finish this with corporates. Would it work better for you if, I mean, again, thousands of people go through this, and let's take, say, one incubation program that in a year would incubate 200 people. Would it be better if they incubated 20 people instead of 200 people, use the funding to give them seed funding and growth funding, and then mentored them to grow that way? Would it be much better? Because out of the 200, I don't see 20 coming out being successful anyway.
Absolutely. I think it would be 100%. I think it would be better. The only way incubators can work is if, like you say, they take a small number of people, 20, focus on them, give them money and the tools to succeed, have these mentors guiding them on how to spend this money. Are they spending it correctly towards the strategy and the plan that they have for their businesses? That's the only way it can work. But you can't, like you said, you can't have like 100 people, you know, in an incubation. Then what, you know? Because the success rate there would probably be 5 people who become successful. Not successful because you incubated them. Successful because they were doing what they were doing better and best. That's what I think.
Now, the sad part for me is that government also puts money into some of these incubation programs. So, you know, it's not only the private sector that does that. It's not the corporates only who take their money and put them into incubation
Absolutely.
programs. Government does it too. And what kind of reports do you think they're getting in return to say your money has worked this way and we've created 300 Ingas out there?
I think what they do, what happens actually is, actually, I'm not sure how they actually do it, but I do understand that also, like, they get some sort of tax relief, you know, like from doing these sort of things as the corporates and the government. I'm not exactly sure why they do it and why they keep on pouring money to these incubators. I wouldn't lie to you. The safest option for me would be very controversial, to be honest. It would go like kickbacks, corruption. That's what I'll say. But I want to say that. That's my first instinct, though. You know.
So let's move on to then the issue of government and funding. And before we do that, I need to warn Freddie that we may have to extend this conversation for another 10, 15 minutes, but let's continue for now. Now, one of the things that you also complained about, and we're about to get into, is that government funding is not handled properly. You start by saying the people who sit on the other side of the desk have no clue about what you and I as entrepreneurs are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. With that, I'm a living proof. So what the government tends to do, all these guys that they have there, you know, working for small department, is all catered employees. In our case, so unprovoked, I get a call from the Department of Small Business. Fine. We'd like to fund you. We'd like to fund you in the maximum of 500,000. This was last year. So okay, great, that's great. Then they come back to me and say, this is what you should use the money for. Then I was like, wait a minute, how do you know what I need the money for? How? I mean, you can't say I'm gonna give you X amount of money, but I want you to use it like A, B, and C. You don't know my business requirements for this 500,000. So they were saying to me, you need machinery. I'm like, what informed you that you need machinery? You haven't evaluated my business and come across findings that I need machinery. So they sent me some guy from their department. The guy has no clue of business, of entrepreneurship, doesn't know the difference between a BE letter and a tax certificate, you know, things like that. And I asked this guy, what's his background? He says to me, he didn't study business or anything like that. But anyway, I would have expected him, as the guy who gathers the information, to have a knowledge and understanding of what he's doing. But the guy had no clue. But nevertheless, we continue now with the paperwork. We call a meeting, myself, my business developer, and the boss of this guy, the head of what you call this thing, the business, the unit, whatever it's called.
Yes.
Yeah. So we tell them, this is our business plan. This is where we are. This is what we're going to use this money. We break everything down to the T. Then they come back and say, no, scrap that. We won't give you money for this and that. We'll only give you money for machinery. Then I was like, that means then your diagnosis is wrong. That means you don't know what entrepreneurs want. If you come with a blueprint already to say that you guys need this, there's something wrong with you guys. Then your planning is wrong. Your diagnosis of what's required by the entrepreneur is wrong, because you already have like your own thing that says you need machinery, you need stationery, you need, and all of those things, you know?
What if all I need is money to get into the African market? I already have my machinery, I already have
showing them the
product.
plan. We're showing them the plan. These guys, they're not getting it. At the end, they ended up saying, okay, since you don't need material, we can only settle with you only 220,000. We said, okay, now we go back to the drawing board. And it took so much time because it's a lot of admin. We need to bring in our accountant, we need to bring in business developer to draft, like the plans and how this money is going to be used and so forth. We went ahead with that. They were supposed to do a payout in January. They went quiet. And then in April, when we mailed them, they said they've channeled the funds towards COVID-19. So now my question with them is that, how do you then, like in terms of auditing, you've approved 220,000. That means that money is already allocated to Inga Atelier. Now, yes. It was approved in December. The letter was approved in December. The money was supposed to be transferred in January. You go quiet, and then you come back in April and say that the money has been channeled towards the COVID. I mean, surely that's not as part of shop. I mean, how do you explain that? I mean, COVID happened in April, but we were approved in December to receive the payment in January, February, March, you went quiet. April, you tell us that the money is now been channeled to the COVID. That's my experience with them.
Okay, folks, I know I say to you, we always tell you this is 30 minutes of digital content, but you guys know when it comes to Rumble in the Jungle, it's slightly more than that. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we continue this conversation with Inga. And we want to also hear your views about incubation, about government funding. You know what, this is a chance for you to get angry. Let's stop being nice. Let's stop dilly-dallying. Let's get the issues off our chest. They are listening. They will respond somehow. I mean, I can tell you my stories, by the way. Been doing this show for a year, been battling to get the Department of Small Business to be here for whatever reason. So let's talk. Let's get angry. Let's flesh out. If you've got that certificate in the wall, but we have no wall to hang it on to, well, let's talk. This is your chance to talk. We're going to take a few minutes break. We come back to you guys on Instagram. It means we're going to pause and then reconnect live again. But on all other programs, don't move because we've got other stuff to show you while we take the break.
Many of us, and perhaps most of us, have dreams to reach the top. But the first summit to climb in any journey is knowing yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, your triggers, and your blind spots. Before you can conquer any voyage, you need to first prepare the voyager. So why don't you join the Talk with Rams Live webinar on the journey to self-discovery with our resident personal coach, Dr. Thando Sibanda. For only 350 Rand, you can buy your ticket to getting ready to achieve your success. Be part of this interactive 2 hours where Dr. T will be able to give you tools fit for your journey. Register on admin@talkwithrams.com or else uzoyithola kanjani. Many of us, and perhaps most of us, have dreams to reach the top. But the first summit to climb in any journey is knowing yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, your triggers, and your blind spots. Before you can conquer any voyage, you need to first prepare the voyager. So why don't you join the Talk with Rams Live webinar on the journey to self-discovery with our resident personal coach, Dr. Thando Sibanda. For only 350 Rand, you can buy your ticket to getting ready to achieve your success. Be part of this interactive 2 hours where Dr. T will be able to give you tools fit for your journey. Register on admin@talkwithrams.com or else uzoyithola kanjani. Many of us, and perhaps most of us, have dreams to reach the top. But the first summit to climb in any journey is knowing yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, your triggers, and your blind spots. Before you can conquer any voyage, you need to first prepare the voyager. So why don't you join the Talk with Rams live webinar on the journey to self-discovery with our resident personal coach, Dr. Tando Sebanda. For only 350 Rand, you can buy your ticket to getting ready to achieve your success. Be part of this interactive 2 hours where Dr. T will be able to give you tools fit for your journey. Register on admin@talkwithrams.com or else uzoyithola kanjani.
I like that. Right. So the concept of a boundary is not so much as keeping stuff out as much as clarifying what's in.
Rumble in the Jungle on Talk with Rams Live. Our guest tonight is Inga Gubeka. He's a designer. He owns his own business called Inga Atelier. He's unhappy. He's unhappy and rightfully so. He's unhappy that for our lives as Black entrepreneurs, especially small business, we are confined, if not condemned, to incubation and mentorship. And then there is never funding for us. I know you know this. I know a lot of you have experienced it. We'd like to hear your views. We'd like to know your experiences. Inga will be reconnecting with us shortly, but I'd like to hear your views. I'd like to know what has been your experience with the Department of Small Business? What has been your experience with the Department of Trade and Industry? Are you getting the help that you need? Do you feel that the guys sitting across the desk from you understand business? Not necessarily your business, but do they understand the principles of business? I'm going to share with you my own story later, but trust me, it's not going to be a unique story. All of you have experienced it. So let me read a comment or two before we go back to Inga, who has just texted to say he's trying to come in. He's just a designer. He's not tech savvy. Clearly, we can see that, but I know he will connect. Hi, guys. I want to remain anonymous, says one of our viewers. I have worked in this space, and I must say it's been a disappointment. He's speaking about the space of incubation. SMEs ultimately need A, access to markets, and B, funding. None of these are provided. Too much time is spent on training. Couldn't agree more. I'll tell you what, for me, what makes it worse is that some of these people that used as trainers in these incubation programs have never run a business themselves. They're just academic people who've read books, who've got great qualifications and all, and I have no problems with qualifications, guys. If I had money, I would have gone to school myself. It's a pity that I couldn't go to school in my life. But I have a problem with somebody who reads me textbooks, who can never tell me about their own experience in business. In fact, I'm always reminded of a story which I should share with you while we're waiting for Inga. Let me tell you, please try again, Inga. Use the right logins. So a story goes that in the first year of the MBA class at the Wits Business School, I don't know whether the story is true or false, but I like the symbolic importance of this story. That every first day of the curriculum or the program, the professor says to the students, hands up all of you who want to become millionaires. Now, invariably, and I know you would have done the same, everybody raises their hand. They all want to be millionaires. Professor, an elderly man, picks up his books and leaves the lecture room. He then comes back about 5 minutes later when everybody's perplexed. And he says to them, I'm sorry I left because I thought you guys are in the wrong class. If you want to be millionaires, go out there and make millions. Here, I teach you how to manage other people's millions. Now, that's a very honest academic. And that's my problem with a lot of people, especially in government, who sit there, and also, by the way, in banks, who sit there and determine whether my business makes sense or not. They have never run a spaza shop. And this is not because I disrespect spaza shops. In fact, some of the best business people I've seen run spaza shops. But I have a problem with somebody who only has all this string of qualifications that they fill a business card, but they have never run a single business. And they want to tell me and Inga how to run our businesses. It troubles me. It troubles me that somebody believes, after so many years of being in business, they still say to me, why don't you come to our incubation program? To teach me what? Marketing? To teach me sales? To teach me design? To teach me how to do a business plan? I've done those. They've come and gone. They've failed. They've succeeded. I mean, I need money to get my business off the ground. I need markets. So what have been your experiences? I'd like to know from you. We've heard from Anonymous, who unfortunately speaks more from a point of view of having worked for these programs. I want to know from you, who has been incubated, anything beyond the certificate. Do you have anything to show that says, thank God I got incubated, now I'm this huge business person? And doesn't it make you wonder that in these classes, it's always us? Where are the other South Africans? Where are the white South Africans? Don't they need to be mentored? Why is it that they're not in the same class? But of course, the people standing in front of the class are white. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. It is as wrong as Inga battling to come back onto the show. He says he's trying to connect, but nothing is happening. But we know, Inga, that we are waiting for you. It takes a button for us from us to connect you again. So you probably are not doing the right thing, mate. Yeah, and he says his Wi-Fi is good. Freddie, what's happening, man? Are you not seeing the man on the other side? Anyway, I'm not sure, because without him, I can't have a monologue. He's supposed to be the guest. I can't be sharing with you my frustrations. I want to hear yours. I want to hear Inga's. But I also wanted to discuss how we're going to solve this. I want to understand how we're going to get government to hear small businesses and do right by them. I'm tired of conferences. I'm tired of seminars. I've been to 1 million of them. I can write the programs. I can even fake the speakers and give them quotations. I know what they're going to say. They're going to motivate me to live another day when I have no money in my pocket. I mean, actually, do you know how many of you entrepreneurs come to these seminars via taxis? You don't even have money to come to the seminar, and they expect you to be millionaires tomorrow. Like, really? And I'm not saying that everybody must be born with a silver spoon in their mouth. None of us were. But, the fact that you're already going to be caught up in 2 taxis before you get home or to the seminar, it says you need much more help than the motivational speech. You need much more realistic support. So something is wrong with these programs. Someone must challenge them. We need better, what's the word? We need better, full stop, actually. So I don't know, Fred, do we call it off? Another break and wait for Inga to join us one more time? I don't know. I never planned to speak alone. I meant to ask him questions. So I'm going to try one more break, guys, and see if we can get him. If not, we're going to call it quits. We shall return.
Many of us, and perhaps most of us, have dreams to reach the top. But the first summit to climb in any journey is knowing yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, your triggers, and your blind spots. Before you can conquer any voyage, you need to first prepare the voyager. So why don't you join the Talk with Rams live webinar on the journey to self-discovery with our resident personal coach, Dr. Thando Sibanda. For only 350 Rand, you can buy your ticket to getting ready to achieve your success. Be part of this interactive 2 hours where Dr. T will be able to give you tools fit for your journey. Register on admin@talkwithrams.com or else uzoyithola kanjani.
So the concept of a boundary is not so much as keeping stuff out, as much as clarifying what's in. Boundaries help you clarify your freedom. You can be yourself. You can be the best you can be because you understand the threshold of your influence and your ability.
I wanted Inga to hear that story.
Many of us, and perhaps most of us, have dreams to reach the top. But the first summit to climb in any journey is knowing yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, your triggers, and your blind spots. Before you can conquer any voyage, you need to first prepare the voyager. So why don't you join the Talk with Rams live webinar on the journey to self-discovery with our resident personal coach, Dr. Thando Sibanda. For only 350 Rand, you can buy your ticket to getting ready to achieve your success. Be part of this interactive 2 hours where Dr. T will be able to give you tools fit for your journey. Register on admin@talkwithrams.com or else uzoyithola kanjani.
Right. So the concept of a boundary is not so much as keeping stuff out as much as clarifying what's in. Boundaries help you clarify your freedom. You can be yourself. You can be the best you can be because you understand the threshold of your influence and your abilities.
Many of us, and perhaps most of us, have dreams to reach the top. But the first summit to climb in any journey.
Unfortunately, we have not been able to re-establish connection with Inga. I suspect he made somebody angry and they cut him off. They've interrupted his line. We've spoken to him on the phone. We can call him, but he can't connect anymore to the program. That's unfortunate. But what it means is that we've got an opportunity to continue this conversation next Thursday. Hopefully he can get himself a better connection. Hopefully you also would have formulated your thoughts much better on this conversation. But even more importantly, hopefully next week we could be joined by somebody who runs an incubation program or somebody from government, from a funding institute of the, or funding, what do they call them? Yeah, it's funding institutes of government, development finance institutes of government, so that we can talk and understand what are they getting wrong, or what is it that we don't understand about them. Maybe the problem is us entrepreneurs. Maybe we just don't get it. So, folks, we're going to have to cut it off tonight, and hopefully we connect with Inga and somebody else and some other people else next week, and also get your views on these issues of incubation, mentorship, and funding for Black SMEs. So I didn't want to end it this way, but such is the life of technology. It happens. I still think that we covered most of the stuff, and I'm glad that we did. I'm glad that he started this conversation that we can have for a while to come. So I'm going to have to bid you goodbye and wish you a very great weekend. And I'm glad that I can't blame Frederick for what happened. It's not his fault. We know it's not his fault. It's Inga's fault, or whoever has cut off Inga. So that's it. You guys go have yourself a great weekend. We shall meet next week. Please do remember to participate in our monkey survey and also register for the webinar with Dr. Thando Sibanda. We are only 2 Saturdays away from that webinar. We can only take a few of you inside. Register very quickly before you lose the opportunity. The details are always on the page. From me, Rams Mabote, good night and God bless.